Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Up dog, all-time beauty. I just said maybe the hardest working guy in hockey. Every time we've tried to get him, he's on the move. NHL on T, Flyers, Keith Jones. Jonesy, thank you for taking time to join the boys here.
Happy to do it, Obi. It's the first time for me to come on with you guys. So Uppy's been texting me a few times and finally got the chance to settle in here and have a conversation.
Well, it's taken us a while. I usually don't like a guy to come on who has better hair than me and a much better look with the glasses on. So it is about time. Jonesy, thank you for coming on. You're one of my all-time favorites. Our time in Philly was great. Loved having you in between the benches. You do a great job with TNT. So starting off tomorrow night, you guys are in Denver. Must be nice to get back with the fellas.
Yeah, it is. I'm flying there right now from Philly, and Talk is going to be there. The studio show is going to be out there covering both the early game and the late game. So it'll be good to see everybody. Gretz is going to be there. Biz will be there as well. Hanson's going to be there. And Liam's going to be there. So along with Eddie O and myself and Kenny, we pretty much got the whole crew. So looking forward to grabbing a nice dinner there in Denver tonight and then getting ready to talk some hockey tomorrow.
Yeah, Jonesy, I mean, we're huge fans of NHL and TNT. You guys, I think you guys did better than any expectations. Why do you think you guys did so well off the start? Just the experience that you and Eddie O brought and Biz and everything? Or why did you guys click just like that?
Yeah, I think that had a lot to do with it. The fact that Eddie's done so many, big games throughout, his broadcasting career. And, he's got a wealth of experience. Kenny's been doing every sport known to mankind and always does an outstanding job, very easy to work with. And then for me, it was just, trying to get perspective down between the benches, not trying to overwhelm people, but just trying to, provide insight from there. It's a great position to have because you got a chance to see the game differently than you do from up above. So I think that balance helped in the in-game broadcast. Panger was unbelievable as always. He's done a great job throughout his career. And then in studio, it was just a really good mix of guys that, brought something different, including the greatest player to ever play the game in Wayne Gretzky. So anytime he spoke, I wanted to hear what he had to say. And I think the fans at home appreciated the way those guys kind of had fun, gave a little bit of a different outlook on the game, but also provided some good insight along the way.
Jonesy, I had the pleasure of watching you guys in action in the Western Conference Finals up in Edmonton. I had a great time with you guys sitting around the round table at the hotel bar the night before the game. Can you bring the fans in as a commentator, bring the fans into like the pregame skate, and when you get to like sit around and talk to the coach before like a big game like that in the Western Conference Finals, and just kind of how involved you guys become in telling the stories about, a series and just what that was like when you first started to get into it?
Yeah, that's probably one of the cooler things about it, because when you played like you guys, you had a great time doing that. But a lot of times you finished playing, you went home, you did your thing, you visit with the guys, and you came back to the rink and did the same thing. But when you're covering the team, it's kind of or a series, it's a constant gathering of information. You want to be on top of things. You want to make sure that you're providing the fans, every bit of insight that's, out there. You don't want to miss anything. And, you get a lot of good information and insight from the players, but most importantly, the coaching staff on both clubs that can give you, some good little tidbits that you can use throughout the broadcast. So to me, it's all about the game, the players being the most important part of it, but it's also a great opportunity for the coaches to kind of show you what they got and see if they go out there and implement the things that they're describing to you, maybe at the morning skate or just prior to the game, what they're going to try to do to win the game against the opponent that they're going up against. So it's pretty cool. It's a really good time. And then to be able to enjoy it afterwards without, physically pounding yourself into the ground like we did when we played is refreshingly fun. And it's the same type of, camaraderie that we had with the guys that we played with. And, whenever you're a part of a team, it's fun. So it's always good to still be in the game, but not necessarily having to beat yourself up out there.
You're thirsty after the game, just a little different ways of being thirsty when you play to when you commentate. The beer's just as cold though, Jonesy, or what?
It is, and it can be just as satisfying too, no doubt about that.
I love Panger for many reasons. One of my favorite reasons is he can turn everything into a golf analogy, right? Like he'll just like a play will happen, he'll be like, "Oh, we told that one," or I'm like, "Panger, how did you turn that into a golf analogy?"
Yeah, he's incredible. He actually was one of the first guys that helped me when I started my career. I started at ESPN briefly after I had retired. I did like a 15-game kind of jump in there and see how you do. And I didn't do very well, but I will say that Panger was there to kind of rescue me a couple of different times when I started to sweat on camera and couldn't come up with a player's name. And, I was one of those guys that ripped on everybody else when I was playing that was doing commentary, and then all of a sudden was trying to do it myself and realized it was a lot more difficult than I thought it was, and was struggling at times. So I've always been grateful to Panger for that, and we've been friends ever since. So to watch him do his thing, which I do, often when he's doing the Blues games, he's just a remarkable career and knows how to put things into terms that everybody can understand. And golf analogies are one of the things that he does real well also.
Yeah, I remember him just like some of his words, like "holy jumping." I could hear him from across the ice.
Yeah, he's good at that.
And he just like Obi would text me and he'd be like, "How many beers are you taking Panger out for after these games? This guy absolutely loves you on air."
Oh yeah, I remember one time Mike Modano I think Mikey Mo was retired, and they asked him who was your favorite goalie to shoot on, and he just happened to say Panger. So that warm up in St. Louis, I'm like, Panger, I can't believe Mikey Mo said you were his favorite goalie to go against, and he had some great rebuttal or something. And I love Panger. He makes the game a lot more fun for players, fans, everyone.
He does, because you can tell he really enjoys doing what he's doing, and that's one of the biggest things about being in this business. We want to make sure that you're showing the fans at home that it's an exciting play or an exciting time, and that it's an enjoyable thing to be at. Being at a game live is a pretty cool experience, and if someone's watching at home on TV, you want to try to bring that across in the way that you describe the game. And I think Panger is one of the best to ever do that because of the enthusiasm that he brings to the table. So we're lucky to have him as a part of our team. I know he's doing the early game tomorrow night. I think it's Rangers and Bruins, if I'm not mistaken, but that should be a pretty good tilt as well.
Yeah, I know. Jones, you guys at NHL TNT are killing it. We're big fans. You keep going. We want to talk some Flyers with you here. Obviously, I played for Torts for 2 years in Tampa. I call it Camp Tortorella. What did you think of training camp? Some of the boys were laying on the ice. What did you think of it? And Jonesy, do you think back in the day you could have got through Camp Tortorella, buddy, or what?
Number one, no, I don't think I would have without a lot of complaining. So I played for Jim Schoenfeld, one of Torts' good buddies, and he had a very similar type of training camp and was physically demanding. But there's no doubt that Torts put the guys through their paces. They had no pucks on the ice the first couple of days. They just skated. He wanted to make sure he measured where their conditioning was at. And I don't think it's just about this year for him. It's about making sure that guys that are going to be there for a while, like he plans on being, kind of get an understanding as to how he wants things done. There's going to be no shortcuts. And with a team that, struggled a lot last year and does not have great expectations this year, I think it's really important. I think Torts thinks it's really important that these guys are in incredibly good shape and are able to hold up to a season that is going to be very challenging for them because they just don't have the same personnel that some of the top teams in the Eastern Conference have.
Yeah, Jones, you teed me up for my second question. So you talk about expectations. In your opinion, what are the expectations for Torts and the team? And then part two, what about the fans of Philly? We saw last year the Wells Fargo's arena empty for the first time. He was a Flyer. I think the league's better when the Flyers are good. What are the expectations of the team and the fans?
Yeah, for the fans, they're not very high. So the bar has, been set relatively low. So I think that's the big challenge for the Flyers, to try to bring those fans back. And for Tortorella, the bar is going to be about making sure that this team's a lot more competitive than it was last year. They lost a lot of games by 5, 6, 7 goals, and that never used to happen, especially in Philadelphia. You'd have the rare occasion, but you wouldn't have multiple games where it looked like the team didn't have enough fight to hang in there and, play to their potential, even if the opposition was a little bit better. I think they're going to be much more competitive. I think they're going to be a lot more physically engaged, and not just fighting, because obviously that's not a major part of the game anymore, but it will be about winning puck battles. It will be about showing some great effort out there, whether it's blocking a shot or, coming up with a loose puck in a corner or battling in the blue paint at either end of the ice. I think you're going to see a lot more, Flyers kind of digging in more than happened last season. I think that's one of the positives that the fans can look forward to. And if they do those things, they'll start to come back. The winning might take a little bit of time, but you play the right way in this city, as Uppy knows. It's really important that you show the fans passion, because they'll see through it if you don't, and they'll stop coming out.
Yeah, you made me remind me of our time there in 07, 08. We had this awful year. I got brought in. We were last in the league. That summer, Homer, went on a spending spree, brought in the Brières, the Hartnell, the Chemo team, and then Joffrey Lupul, Jason Smith, turned it around quick. It's kind of been a thing that the Philadelphia Flyers are known for is, you know what, if we have a bad year, our fans let us know and we turn it around. Do you think there's a lot more pressure on some of their better players, or is it more on Fletcher and the way that this team has been put together with, they're right up at the cap, so there's not much room. There's not a way to say they're rebuilding. Is there more pressure on the top end guys they have, or on the GM? Is he on a hot seat, or is it, what are we looking at?
Yeah, no, there's pressure everywhere here for sure. And, even though fans' expectations might be lowered, the team does not want to be in that position. So they're going to do everything that they can to make sure that they get this thing turned around. I think it started with Tortorella. I do believe that there's some players that need to be healthy this year, including Sean Couturier. Last year, he was dearly missed, a very important player, both ends of the ice. And, was up. I think he won the Selke Trophy one year. If not, he was up for it. So that's the type of, attitude. That's the type of player that they need to be healthy and ready to go. And he's not starting the year on time, but apparently he is getting closer. That would go a long way to, raising expectations, at least in my eyes, a little bit more than maybe you would anticipate if he's not available. Guys like Konechny, I'm interested to see him play with a tougher core group around him because he's a real talented player, but he's at his best when he's feisty, when he's irritating. And that's a tough thing to do when you don't have enough guys backing you up, because he's a guy that's a smaller stature. And I know personally I liked having 5 or 6 guys that I knew had my back.
Yeah, me
and
too.
Sometimes I needed that many too. So, but that's it. I think it's going to be. I'm curious to see how some of these guys play, and I want to see how they play with an extremely well conditioned team. A month and a half down the road here once things get started. That's probably the one thing that stands out to me the most.
Yeah, and Updog brings up Chuck Fletcher and Jonesy. I got a lot of respect for Chuck. He was in Anaheim when I first started my career. He was great to me. JVR, contract, whatever. The thing for me is the Ryan Ellis injury. Is there any chance we can see Ryan Ellis and Tony DeLangelo? Can he kind of fill the void? Because I think the Ryan Ellis injury the last year, when Chuck made that deal, I thought, hey, that's a great deal for Philly. I think that's really hurt not only Chuck, but the entire team.
Yeah, it was brutal, because the biggest loss the Flyers had over the last couple of seasons was Matt Niskanen. And when he retired, the entire decor kind of was slotted in properly, because he really made Provorov a legitimate number 1 defenseman and complimented him well. Ellis looked like he was going to do that, and that kind of fell apart. So Tony D is being asked to do a lot. There's no question he's got the offensive abilities. It's going to be, a challenging amount of quality ice time and big minutes that he's going to have to perform against the opposition's top line guys. And he showed signs of that last year with Slavin and Carolina. Thought he held up to that really well. But he and Provorov are going to have to really have some chemistry early. And I think you'd be a lot more comfortable with a seasoned veteran that's done it at both ends like Ryan Ellis. But unfortunately, I don't think you're going to see him this year. I think he's already on long-term IR now, and I don't think that's going to be something that's going to change. It's just one of those things where you never hear anything positive, and I'm not around asking questions every day about it, but you just don't get an inkling that he's going to be back anytime soon.
Yeah, the pelvis and what they're reporting on, it's just something that's so tough. And he was such a great player for Nashville, so you can't blame anyone. I mean, it's a bad injury. Yeah, it's a tough one. Let me ask you about Carter Hart. He hasn't seen much action in preseason, but he's due for a bounce-back year. I got to know him a little bit over the summer. I saw him in Edmonton when we were up there playing. He's a great kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's got a lot of pressure on him. Is it time for him to take the next step? Does he have the right decor in front of him? Is he going to be a guy that can he win 30, 35 games and help this team get to that next level?
Well, I think he can. I don't know if it'll be this year or not, but the team's going to be a lot more battle-tested in front of them. I don't think there's going to be a lot of pucks laying around the blue paint. There's going to be a greater emphasis on blocking shots and defending. And I think that's one thing, as Obi knows with Torts, his teams are going to defend well. They're not going to, shy away from any battle that's in the defensive zone, or they're going to be embarrassed the next day. So I think that part of the competitiveness in front of Hart is going to serve him well. I think he showed some frustration over the last couple of seasons. Last year, he was pretty good on a team that was not very good. But there's another level for him to get to, and with a better, commitment to defending going on in front of him, I think he's going to really benefit from that. And I think of Bobrovsky and Columbus and how good he was there with John Tortorella, winning a couple of Vezina trophies, and I think that type of defensive structure is going to help Carter Hart a lot as the Flyers try to be a much better team defensively than they have been over the last few seasons.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one thing about Torts is the structure. I truly believe this Jones is going to be a lot better. And Carter Hart's a great kid. I hope he bounces back. I look at this back end with Provorov and D'Angelo and Ristolainen, and I look at Justin Braun. I think, hey, it's not a bad decor. I think scoring goals, Jonesy. Where are they going to score goals? Can a guy like Owen Tippett, can he take that next step? As they gave up a first rounder for him or whatever. Can he be that guy?
Yeah, they're sure hoping he can. I mean, he shows glimpses. He gets chances. Has not shown much finish yet, and that's going to come down to, just it's like he wants it, but just doesn't know how to get it yet. I think he's got to develop that. He has to develop confidence at the National Hockey League level. Looks like he's got all the skills. I mean, he's fast enough to get there. He's strong enough to win those battles. He's got a heck of a shot. So I would think that given time, I think he's going to develop that. But that's a big if, and that's something that the Flyers are going to need. When Wade Allison, another guy that's built similarly and looks a lot like Owen Tippett. They look like twin brothers.
Yeah, they do.
He's got the potential to do it as well, but it's not just about all the tools. It's about finding a way to use them to your best advantage, and being able to score goals is going to be something that this team is going to need from guys like that. So by committee, they're going to have to get the job done, but you hope somebody finds some scoring touch early and can put up some big numbers, and Tippett's got the potential to do that.
I was going to talk predictions. What do you think?
Yeah, let's see what he's got.
I was going to say, so TNT's hosting the Stanley Cup Finals this year. Exciting stuff. I can't wait to see the production you guys have. Can you give us a couple predictions, a couple teams that you might like? Maybe one that's sitting in the grass, sitting in the weeds, that might come out and shock some people?
Well, one of them's, I think you both played Nashville, didn't you? Were you there too,
yes,
Obi?
sir.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. So the Predators are a team that I think is going to be really good. Obviously, they won the first couple of games there out in Europe against San Jose, but I like their makeup. I like things that Matt Duchene did last year. I think he's looking to carry that forward. I think they've, added one of my favorite playoff performers in Ryan McDonough. I think Tampa's going to miss him an awful lot, more than maybe some people realize, and I think Nashville's going to benefit from having him there. So that would be one of my teams that I think has a lot of opportunity in front of them to have a fantastic year. And I think they really bought into what John Hines was preaching there. Last season was impressive. Now David Poyle's added to it, kept Forsberg in the mix, and I think it's going to pay dividends for them. So that would not be surprising at all to me to see Nashville find their way to the final.
Yeah, Jonesy, we all saw the meeting that Dave Poyle had with Glass. I had a few meetings with Dave Poyle my year at Jonesy. They didn't go like that, fella. They didn't go like that, buddy. They were more like, hey, slow down a bit. I heard you're out all the time. So I had been in that office, but I was crying for different reasons, Jonesy.
I played for David too. He was my first general manager in Washington, so I know him well. I have a great amount of respect for him too, and I know everyone that plays for David kind of feels the same way, whether you stayed for an extended period of time or were traded. Like I was traded, I think, after my 5th year, but he was a great man, someone I look up to, and I think it would be great to see him have a chance to lift that Stanley Cup, because he's been around the game forever and has been one of the most successful general managers without winning the ultimate goal. Came close, I guess, in 2016, maybe somewhere in there, 17. Yeah. I think they lost to the Penguins then, but I'd love to see him get it done.
Yeah, I agree. He's a classy individual. Jonesy, we're going to do our preview show, and I'm big on the Vegas Golden Knights. I just think everything they went through last year with the cap and bringing Ikes in, and you're a locker room guy. You're in there, hey, Uppy, am I going to get traded? Are you going to get traded? Are they trading Jonesy? What's going on with the cap? Like, with all that behind them, I know the goaltending. What are your expectations on Vegas?
Not as high as I've had them over the last few seasons. I mean, I'm kind of at the show me part of the program now because they kind of disappointed me last year in the way things kind of fell apart there. But I'm a big Bruce Cassidy fan. I got to know him a lot because the Bruins have been in the playoffs, frequently under his helm. So I think he's a very good coach for that organization at this point. Goaltending worries me, but I do think they're capable of going one way or the other. And last year they went the other. And I think this year would be a great opportunity for guys like Eichel to really show what they're made of and kind of with a lowered bar come out there and, not just meet expectations, but exceed them. It's possible. There's no doubt about that. But it wouldn't be one of the teams that I'd be picking to be one of the top 5 teams in the Western Conference. I think they're a little bit below that.
Yeah, for me, I would need to see Eichel in a Hart race trophy. I would need to see a guy like Pietrangelo compete for the Norris. And then like a guy like William Karlsson compete for the Selke. If those 3 guys can kind of do that, then
I know. I think we're forgetting about their back end though. Ready? Theodore, Pietrangelo, McNabb, Martinez, Whitecloud, Hag. I mean,
yeah,
that's elite blue line in the National Hockey League. That's not, that's what I'm saying.
It is.
Like we're forgetting about that.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. It comes down to, and like Jonesy said, it comes down to Jack Eichel. Ikes has got to be the guy he was before the surgery. And maybe we're a little biased here, but I think he has it in him. I think he does. I think Phil Kessel has a good year in the desert. I don't know. I just think without expectations.
I got Ikes here as my go-to guy up there for the Hart Trophy.
Yeah,
so we'll
so
see.
then you're in for Vegas. So Jonesy, I want to ask you one last thing about Philly. My boy Torts. We don't know what's going to happen on the ice, but Jonesy, Torts and the media in Philly. How's it going to go? I know he can't help himself. He's going to try his hardest at the start, but there's going to be some good content coming out of Torts in that Philly media, eh?
Yeah, and they need it. I mean, you need some sound bites. It's been a quiet team in a city that's got some teams that are playing well, including the Phillies right now in the playoffs and the Eagles being 5-0. So and the Sixers have a lot of excitement around them with Embiid. The Flyers don't, and that's where Torts is really going to come in handy. He kind of knows how to deliver it, and he knows how to put a hockey team on the map when, they haven't necessarily been that popular or relatively new to a city like Columbus or Tampa in his time there. So I think he is going to have some sound bites. I think it's important that he does. And I think that the media here is actually going to appreciate it because if you've been covering, the Flyers over the last couple of seasons, you're probably not being read as much as you'd like to be because the team has not been as interesting. So I think it's really important that they play well for him. But if they don't, that he's out there rattling some cages and making sure he keeps these guys heading in the right direction.
Oh, I guarantee he'll be rattling some cages.
I can't wait to hear on your show in Philly, Hartnell just probably laughing at some of the stuff he says in between the intermissions. It's going to be all-time TV, yeah.
Oh, that's going to be good.
Yeah, and Hartsey does a good job there too, and he's a good man. I know he's one of your old teammates too there, Scottie. So in a couple of different cities, right?
Yeah, you betcha. Well, Jonesy,
you're the man. We appreciate you. Nice team dinner night in Denver for you boys, or as a TNT boys going for it? Get some nice red wine going, Jonesy, for the boys here at Missin Curfew.
Yeah, we will for sure. It's I think we're going to Elway's there at Denver tonight, right at the Ritz. It's built right in there. So We'll get Gret's credit card out tonight for sure.
Get business credit card. He might have more money than Gret's now. Who knows? He's getting close.
He's a beauty, isn't he?
He is no doubt. Thanks, Jonesy.
Care, guys.
Thanks, Jonesy.
Thanks, Jonesy. Appreciate
it. Good to catch up.
Welcome back to Mr. Curfew. Updog, great getting Jonesy. We love what NHL TNT does here. We're big fans of the whole panel. Talks, Biz, the great one, Anson Carter, everyone. Eddie O, they're great. Panger. So good job getting Jonesy. He's a legend.
He's a legend, and he's tuning in from the airport. He's flying to his first game of the year. He's fired up. Thanks for diving into the Flyers for us. We'd love that.
Fucking Flyers.
That bird's eye view. Fucking Flyers. from the dressing room. It's going to be quite the dressing room in there this year.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to get a lot of, like we talked about, a lot of content out of Torts.
I'm pulling for the Flyers. Come on, Philly. Carter Hart kick, that back end, Tony D'Angelo.
Come on,
Kevin
man.
Hayes have a backbench here. Couture come back. Konecki get it going.
Can Couturier come back?
Let's go.
That'd be great.
Come on. Be better than the worst placed team in the Metro.
Oh,
come on.
They should be.
It's better when Philly's good.
Because the fucking Phoenix Coyotes are going to be.
No, I know.
They'll be dog shit.
I know, but I don't know. I think they're going to play better than people. I believe in Torts. Yep. And listen, if they don't play good, we're going to get lots of Torts sound bits. So we'll see what we say.
It'll be good. So, thanks to him. Thanks to our listeners, the boys that called in. You guys are beauties. Appreciate that on the Curfew Call segment. Feel free to do that, you fans. And then last but not least, to all our sponsors, DraftKings. We hope you guys liked our picks. Jump in on DraftKingsSportsbook.com. Our promo code's Curfew, but if you don't need that, just get in there and get some prop bets, pick some futures for your favorite teams. We hope you enjoyed Obi and I's picks.
Yeah, and then just to our listeners in Ontario, DraftKings is fully legal up there now.
Let's go.
It happened in the playoffs last year. Get out there, get betting. We're gonna have, I think we're gonna have Top Titty back eventually.
Top Titty Friday, Top Titty's back.
So get out there, DraftKings, baby. It's
and
unreal.
then Life Force, our friends at Life Force, mylifeforce.com. Our promo code is Curfew. Get in there. Obi, you're just signed up now. You're going to do your blood draw, get all fucking dialed up.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm feeling fresh. I need this stuff after a big birthday weekend. It gets me back. My vitamins in the
I
morning.
need some Life Force, man. Yeah.
You know, make sure my hormones are up to level, so I'm just flowing, just flowing. Friends at Good Life, thanks for the tarps. That party was great.
Unreal.
We had a great party. I'm actually wearing some Manscaped underwear today too.
Manscaped.
Friends at Manscaped.
They got some new stuff coming out. I saw like something you can just like get down there and wash yourself. I can't remember. I saw the commercial on some social media.
Get down there and wash yourself.
Get
down and wash yourself.
And then lip boomers, baby. Canada Dips lip boomers. I turned back today, the old tangy citrus flavor. One of the originals. Check it out. Thanks to Max and Binger. We got a Dodger fan, Padre fan. What's the bet here, boys?
Loser's got to shave his pubes on camera or what? Hey? You got to do a muff bag on.
I'm actually, I'm not even going to say it, Max, because I don't want to jinx your squad. So, anyways, thanks to Hall Pass Media, Maxie, Binger, Updog, love you, buddy. We got some hockey. Let's enjoy it. Missin Curfew.
That's it.